Testing. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Teresa Kelly. The progress that has been made since 2015 at District 209 has been amazing. We have accomplished all we said we would do in 2015 and more. PMSA is now a National Blue Ribbon School. They are ranked 8 in Illinois and number 261 in the nation out of 28,000 nationwide schools. We hired a new superintendent, two new principals, some administrators with a transformation plan for excellence for Proviso East and Proviso West. We made sure that all of our students had new textbooks along with the new computers that were given out to all freshmen at Proviso East. Next year, in September, all students at all 3 of our schools will have new laptop computers that they can take home. We are striving for excellence at Proviso. We are striving for excellence at Proviso, and we have done an excellent job.
I'm sorry, when you stopped talking, I had to reset it. We had like 2 seconds left.
Oh, I didn't know. Okay. I think I got it in.
Yes,
Most of it.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for being here and for hosting us. My name is Sandy Aguirre, and I am a candidate that's running for 209. We have seen positive changes over the last 4 years, but we still need and require more. I am here to ask for everyone's vote and support. If I am elected, I will work with the people that remain in the board, or if there's new board members running and get in, I'm here to work because I believe in building bridges. Despite a lot of the efforts that have been made, we still lack and need more because all 3 schools need to be treated the same, not just PMSA. PMSA was built and constructed 14 years ago for success, and that success that was built for them, it's been delayed in bringing that into Proviso East and Proviso West. That's one of my goals. That's one of my dreams. Education is a responsibility. It is not a privilege.
Good afternoon. I'm Leighton Scott. This is Beverly Robertson and Denara Wade. We are Proviso United. We are here as candidates for District 209 School Board. Myself and Denara are alums of Proviso, where Beverly is an educator with 30 years of experience in Proviso Township. It is our goal to educate the students, to help with the different things that they need as far as the vocational skills, collectively, Beverly, Denard, and I bring over 90 years of experience coaching, mentoring, and molding the lives of the students in our district and in our community. We are public servants. We are committed to community and dedicated to progress.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having us. I'm Beverly Robertson, a retiree from District 209, having served in the highest capacity as an assistant principal for 4+ years over at Proviso West. I've joined forces with Leighton Scott and Denard Wade to become elected representatives of our community. We understand that one of the most fundamental obligations of any educational institution is to prepare adolescents and young adults to become productive citizens of their community. We know that the basic differences, there are basic differences that will impede their progress, but we believe that it must be done through rigor, relevance, and relationships. We ask that you would give us your support as we again continue to serve our community and the students who are a part of it. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Denard Wade Sr. Thank you for coming out. It's my pleasure to be here in front of you. I look forward to taking your questions and sharing dialogue. My colleagues to my left, as they mentioned, Leighton Scott, Beverly Robinson, we are Proviso United. We're looking to reinvest trust and integrity within the district. We're looking to ensure that all children are prepared, they're productive, they're responsive, so they are citizens, productive citizens within our community. We're going to develop and implement vocational trades, technical educational programs. We're going to spread quality throughout the district, as well as accountability, and particularly with the spending. We're going to ensure that our students, teachers, and staff have resources, training, and equipment to develop and promote and build excellence within our school district. On April 2nd, we humbly ask for your hope. Proviso United, Leighton Scott, Beverly Robinson, and myself. Thank you.
The mic will stay down there. So the first question will now start with you guys, Proviso United, and you can elect anybody to answer this question or divide it up among yourself. This question is going to be posed to, can everybody hear me? This question is going to be posed to each slate and or candidate. So 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes. And the question is, what is your understanding of the responsibilities of a school board member?
I'm ready.
Okay, hold on, can you reset our times?
Oh, I never started.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Okay. The responsibility of a school board member is first, they are residents of the community, and they are, in my opinion, laypersons who are a part of the school board's decision-making, the school district's decision-making process. Our goal is to represent the desires and needs of the community. We will act responsibly to make sure that the best decisions are made with everyone in mind, not just a select few. It is to allow for open communication about what's going on, what needs to go on, making sure that the voice of the people is being heard and being executed through our thoughts and actions as elected officials for the school board.
The responsibility of school board member is to be clear and transparent with everyone, to have an open communication with everyone. It doesn't matter what has happened in the past. We need to focus on the present and look into the future, because I've seen a lot of tension, I've heard a lot of tension, and we keep focusing on the past, and that's not how we solve things. They need to be easily accessible by parents, students, and administration, because administration and students are ultimately the people that suffer the positive and the negatives impacts immediately, and they should be able to come out and speak to the board members without any fear of being retaliated against or being judged or anything like that. And also, we have to understand that there's cases that need to be dealt with on a one-on-one, that one situation doesn't particularly affect everyone, and those are the things that we need to take into account. If we become available, people will have easy access to us and they'll feel comfortable, and that's how we would be able to help and restore whatever might be lacking, and also understanding that being respectful and truthful with that person is important, because sometimes, unfortunately, a situation may be presented and there's absolutely nothing that can be done because there's laws that possibly prohibit it from us doing that. And people deserve to know that it's not being taken care of, but simply admitting under this situation, because of X, Y, and Z, this is why we cannot do anything. But please, I will look into suggestions if you have any, and that's how we get things resolved. It's not about not answering. It's not about becoming angry. It's not about being hostile. It's about allowing everybody to express themselves.
An effective school board member understands the issues. They put in the time necessary to be well informed. They have a constructive attitude toward teamwork. They're continuously learning by going to conferences. Their temperament is to respond accordingly. They can keep confidential information. They encourage prospective candidates and mentor new school board members. They clarify the district's purpose, and they also connect with the community. A good school board member also monitors performance and the responsibility of their self.
I think one of the most important roles of the superintendent is the hiring and supervision and collaboration with the superintendent. And we have hired probably one of the best superintendents in the country. He's, and what he has been able to accomplish in accordance with the vision, mission, and goals of the Board of Education. The board member participates in setting the goals and mission and vision of the district, and then you hire a superintendent to make that happen. And I think we've done a fantastic job of that.
Sorry, I didn't try to strangle you. So this question is also posed for, this is somewhat of a follow-up to the last one. You only get 30 seconds to answer this because it shouldn't require you to spend a lot of time on it. We can go from left to right since the mic is down here. This is for incumbents elected who are already on the board. What's the rough estimate of the percentage of meetings you've been in attendance, of school board meetings and executive session meetings in total, committee meetings? What would you estimate your attendance rate to be for incumbents? And then for challengers, how many school board meetings, just regular school board meetings, not committee meetings, have you attended within the last 6 months to a year? Okay. 30 seconds. Everybody gets okay. All right.
Okay, so I believe in 4 years, I think I might have missed one board meeting because I was on a Boy Scout camping trip. As far as committee meetings, I'm the chair of the policy committees. I've been at every policy committee meeting. I was a regular attendee of the facility master plan steering committee. I go to the facility committee meetings, the parent engagement community meetings. I've been to the student achievement innovation committee meetings, not to mention all the meetings that we did to hire architects. And I've been to like a lot of meetings.
I have personally missed 2 board meetings since I was elected 4 years ago. I am the chair also of the SASE committee, which is the Student Advancement and Student Innovation Committee. I've been part of the facilities master planning. I've also go to the FOP meetings on at least 3 or 4 times a year. Then there's the financial committee, there's the community engagement, and then we've also engaged in town halls in every single one of the different communities, which we've been to every single one of those. There are several other committees that, it's over? Okay, thank you.
I don't think you want to hear that much about
I'm very proud to say that in my 19 years on the board, I have missed 1 meeting, and that was because I was in the hospital with a pneumonia and couldn't come. So my attendance record, I'd say, is 99.5%. I have been at all of our meetings. I have a committee meeting, and I have not missed a committee meeting for my committee. I have not missed any special meetings at all. I am there, and I support our students.
should have gave you guys 20 seconds. 30 seconds would be so long.
I have not been physically present at the school board meetings. I have been logging on YouTube. And also, I don't have to be necessarily present to be informed as to the good, the bad, and the ugly that's going on, and all the great things that are going on also. I have students that have actually come up to my door and asked for help due to lack of ESL teachers at Proviso West, at which I am currently helping one in conjunction with Sam Baltierres, because
I have been.
Okay. Yeah, I've been physically present at one meeting. Live streaming, the internet is a great tool to use, so I do live stream some meetings. As far as a percentage, I wouldn't know a percentage, but I am in the schools pretty much every day because I am a person that is on about 7 kids' paperwork where I access grades. I do things, I'm in contact with teachers, students, staff, all the time, so I'm around.
I could say I've probably been within the last 6 months, about 20% of the meetings, maybe 3 or 4. I haven't kept count, but I have always been active and coming in and out of the board meetings, even when I was employed as a district member, and it was kind of nice because I was also a community member. So I'm in and out of meetings. I have taken advantage of attending some open houses and committee meetings as well. So about 20% of the time since in the last 6 months.
In the last 6 months, I participated in approximately 2 meetings, live stream meetings. However, every week I am at the schools, I am involved, I am engaged. I have numerous kids that I am mentoring, so that all plays into factor. I look forward to serving. Thank you.
Keep the mic down there. So this question is actually addressed to, actually move that to here, sorry. This is addressed to Proviso together. You guys see. And then each subsequent Ms. Aguirre, Proviso United will be able to answer pretty much the same, talk about the same topic. And this is about the divide between PMSA and Proviso East and West.
Can you speak up, Mike?
Sure. Can I actually, since the mic is here. Oh my God. I don't think we got workman's comp, so don't strangle yourself. All right, big problem. So the question is, this came up. This was pretty stark during the process for crafting the long-term facilities plan, the master facilities plan that was recently voted on, comprehensive plan. Word got out, however, that the district, the architects had simply made the suggestion during the community meeting that was part of the comprehensive planning process or the master facilities planning process. And the suggestion was to do something about the building that houses PMSA. And they put it on the table. You know, how many people hold the room? How many people will consider possibly closing the building, not the school itself? Not one mention of closing the actual school, but closing the building or moving the school and doing some, perhaps selling the office building, which was bought 10, 15 years ago, because the district doesn't have enough money to keep up with 3 different campuses. So after that discussion, we wrote an article, got a lot of traction, a lot of heat was put on current board members. But the reason was that, and I think this needs to be articulated, PMSA parents were coming to board meetings and coming up to board members because to them, in their minds, PMSA is that building, and the building is PMSA. I don't think that reality was really stressed with people. So you could have been saying that there was a possibility of moving the building, but parents who send their kids to that school believe that that building is that school. They value the proximity that that school allows for their students to be away from East and West kids. And I think that there's a stigma that that some East and West students who don't attend PMSA have to deal with when we have to report on the fact that PMSA won this award every like 3 or 4 times a year. They're the best school ever. And then kids in Proviso East and West are looking at that. They didn't get in or they didn't try. I mean, there is a psychological effect for the students and the families at Proviso East and West when that happens. And that's just the reality. So how are all of you guys, not just the sitting board members, but even the challengers, because it hasn't really been adequately addressed by anyone, quite frankly. So how are you going to address that issue? Because it's a deep issue and it's not been adequately addressed. And each of you guys get 3 minutes. 3 minutes per panel and 3 minutes for Ms. Aguida.
So let me get 3 minutes for the 3 of us.
3 minutes for the three of you, and then Ms. Aguida. I'll give you 4 since it's a loaded question.
So, first of all, you know what? I'm just going to do this really fast because something happened to me when I was elected to the board that I didn't realize was going to happen. Is as I've been out to all these schools and campaigning in all these different communities, I had this really amazing realization that the best kids in the world all live in Proviso Township. And the kids at Proviso East, the kids at Proviso East and West, the kids at PMSA, they're all the same kids. They're all the same kids. It's an amazing community. My son goes to PMSA, but he's at Proviso East every day because he's in the marching band and he's plays baseball. You know, on his phone it says PEHS boy. It doesn't say PMSA boy. So I think that the divide is something that there's some fear that's in our community that needs to be assuaged. And I'm going to pass the mic to Claudia because she can just tell you what we've been doing about it.
First of all, our goal has been to provide the highest quality education where learning, leadership, service, and research-based practices ensure equitable and meaningful opportunities for all 3 schools. How have we done that? By engaging in a transformation plan to ensure that Proviso East and Proviso West both get the programs that they need. We rolled out the very first curriculum in Proviso East in September, so no data is available yet for the effect of that new curriculum. The new curriculum for Proviso West is coming in this coming September. So how are we addressing that? We are ensuring that we provide vocational, academic, sports, clubs, and all different types of supports within the schedule for the children to get the support that they need so that they can now have all of the tools by having laptops, by having the best books available to them, and having a tool by which we're constantly renewing and ensuring that the students are provided the best tools possible so that they can be engaged in learning. And we have made sure that the focus and the district to make sure that all 3 of the schools are addressed is child-centered. We are looking at what are the needs of each school individually and providing that. We are looking at what are the educational desires of the students in the community, and we're providing that. That's why we started 16 new vocational programs. That is why we engaged in the transformational curriculum that we're doing. That is why we have mastery-based learning now in the schools, so that no child is going to be treated in our district with disciplinary causes using grading to bring our students down. We have also ensured that our teachers get professional development to ensure that they are supported and they have the best tools moving forward to address all of the needs of all of our students. We have enhanced academic achievement. We ensure that there's effective and efficient operations to make sure that the students get the needs that that are necessary for their success. And we empower students, families, and communities to participate to make sure that together we all bring the schools up.
We included instructional time at Proviso East and West so that our students are getting extra help 3 days a week, and we provided professional development for our teachers, and they are getting professional development twice a week. We We have 30 higher learning academics, vocational and technology offerings at our schools. We created freshman academies, which include daily guidance periods for our students. So we've been working very, very hard to make sure that all of our schools are getting what they should get. We also created parent centers.
Thank you for bringing up that question, Michael, because it's actually a very good one. That is part of why I'm calling my campaign Inclusion and Equality, because no, our schools have not been included and that have not been treated with the same equality. PMSA, like I stated before, was built and constructed for success. These are a lot of questions. I know that right now we have ELOs implemented and it's failing and it's costing us $300,000. We don't have ELL teachers. How are you looking at that to improve? The new curriculum that was implemented back in September, where did it come from? Who researched it? Who wrote it? And how is that a positive for our community? Why are we waiting so long to bring in these new curriculums that are going to bring in our higher education learning and standards for our children? Like they said, they have been in the board for the past 4 years. This is one of the things that should have been worked on, implemented the first, because if we look at the Illinois reporting for Proviso East for the year of 2017 and 2018, Proviso East is underperforming. Proviso West is barely making it. So these are all things that should have been looked at 4 years ago, right at the beginning. It's great to have computers, yes, but if we're not teaching a new curriculum, what is the point? Also, why only freshmen? What happened to the sophomores, the juniors, the seniors? How are our kids not to be filled, distinguished, or not treated the same when PMSA has certain things that they do not? We have, per Ms. Claudia's statement, she said we have 16 new vocational trades. The one that I looked for, the only one that I've seen, and I apologize if I'm incorrect, was the tool making. And that's only in one classroom and it only fits for 20 students. So how is that a benefit throughout the entire Proviso Township? We have over 3,000 plus students. We need to look out for 3,000 plus students and more that are coming in. As a lot of you here are Maywood residents, Broadview, Bellwood, their number of homes being purchased is incrementing. So that means the more families are moving in, we're bringing in more kids. There's a lot of grants that are out there that nobody is applying for that can help us bring in these materials without any extra cost to us, the taxpayers, because at the end of the day, anything that falls under the cracks, the taxpayers have to pay for it. As we all know, our taxes are quite high. We cannot afford for our taxes to get higher. The 30 teachers that were hired for the high tech, what schools are they in? What classes are they being taught? Who's benefiting from it? Because our numbers aren't showing those benefits. Those are a lot of questions that I have. This is the reason that I became involved in school, in doing this. This, and let me point it out once again, this isn't pointing out fingers. Because in failures, we have to have successes and vice versa. But let's be clear and let's be transparent about everything. Let's talk about the things that we haven't been able to do to accomplish just as well as the things that we have accomplished. That's being truthful. That's being an effective communicator. That's being a public servant.
All right. When we talk about Proviso East, West, and PMSA. We talk about one district, 3 different schools. We talk about equality. We talk about equity. And if you break it down and you start to look at it, when you start looking at the report card from the state, you can see a vast difference in what's going on in all 3 schools. One school is excelling, and the other 2 are not making the mark. All right. One school is excelling on paper, and the other schools are not making the mark. Now, when we talk about on paper, we have to look at what is being put on the paper. Who is writing these statistics on this paper? All right, and are they accurate? We can send numbers to the state if we control the numbers, but are they true and accurate numbers that reflect what's really going on in our district and how it's affecting our children? Okay, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So when you start looking at those numbers in the schools and then you look at the report card and it doesn't match, it tells you that something is not right. And it's our job to figure out what's not right and fix it. All right? Not fight, not do that, but figure it out and let's fix it because it's about our children. Okay? And I'll start off with Proviso Math and Science Academy. So they have a 100% graduation rate. All right. We're trying to figure out how that's possible when you have kids transferring in and out, when you have kids sent back to Proviso East or Proviso West because they can't cut it. And where is the record of who those children are? We need to know these things because it affects everybody. It affects the schools. It affects the students. And that's our goal, to be a champion for our students. You talk about the facilities in the schools. Is PMSA educating kids because of the building or because of the knowledge that goes into it? Okay? You can be educated anywhere. All right? So the building does not make the school. The people in the building make the school. And if we have schools that are under the max capacity, well under, then we need to look at how can we better utilize our funding, because we all know that as a village, as a community, as a district, we are cash strapped. Okay? We don't have money to give away. So let's be smart with our money. Okay, let's look at this. If I have 10 kids in a big house and all my kids grow up and move out, my wife is not going to tell me, let's buy a bigger house. Let's add to this house. We're going to say, okay, where can we cut back to effectively manage the funds that we have? Okay? And so I think we need to relook at some things. The facilities master plan is a great thing, but I think we need to review it, relook at it, and maybe tweak some things to better serve where funding that should not come from the education fund and go into the building fund. All right? Should stay in the education fund because that's where we need it most. And this is what's happening. Money is going to the building and not to the kids. And that's part of what we need to do. I'm going to give my colleagues a chance to speak and say something.
30 seconds.
Yes, I am. I've been around since the inception of PMSA, and this was predicted that our students at the other schools would begin to feel inferior. I was at that meeting when the parents came out in droves complaining about, don't close it down, don't close it down. My kid is afraid to go to East and West. My kid is afraid. There's such violence over there. These are the same children from the same communities that grew up from K through 8th grade. What drives building should be the enrollment, not the mystique of the intelligence that is within. There are intelligent students at East and West that perform and outperform some of the students at PMSA.
So, you guys brought up a lot of specific, pardon me? You brought up a lot of specific things that, hold on, I'm going to give you guys an opportunity to rebut because there was a lot said and unpacked. You are current sitting board members. So I'm going to give you guys 2 minutes to rebut the 8 minutes of things that they discussed. All right.
Michael, I'm sorry. My apologies.
No, I got this. Just let me do this.
You got it?
Okay.
All right, so we have devoted a lot of resources to Proviso East and Proviso West. And honestly, I did not run for the board to improve PMSA, right? I ran for the board because our goal is to have 3 excellent high schools. And we are devoting a lot of resources to Proviso East and Proviso West that are not going to PMSA. The standard of care at PMSA is 30 students to 1 teacher, okay? The standard of care at Proviso East and Proviso West is 25 students to each teacher. We have moved teachers from PMSA to Proviso East and West, okay? We have added instructional coaches, interventionists, parent centers, parent coordinators. We have added a lot of resources to make Proviso East, to bring Proviso East and Proviso West up to where they belong, right? Which is at the top, along with PMSA. Like Claudia and Teresa?
As far as the bilingual teachers, there's been an intensive research program that we have engaged in to ensure that we address the needs for every single one of the students in the district. Currently, we have a new bilingual teacher initiative that is partnered with Dominican University, where we are training 65 of our teachers in ESL to ensure that we engage not just the curriculum, but that we have enough teachers that can devote their time and instructional needs to the students that are lacking in language, in the language support that they may need. The other thing is that they keep mentioning equality. If we were going to say that what we were doing with the plan, with the facilities master plan, was based on equality, then it would be 33%, 33%, and 33%. But we know the needs are greater at East. That is why we're allocating 62% to East, 37%. 31% to West, and 6% to PMSA, because all 3 of the buildings have needs. But we're ensuring that we equitably address the needs of all of the different students and of the different buildings. That's why East has a much larger portion of, and I'm gonna, I just like, that's 2 minutes. Sorry.
So, did anybody want, in like 30 seconds really, because the reason that I allowed them a rebuttal is because they're sitting board members, and you guys made a lot of charges that may not have been correct. So they, for what it's worth, they're the experts on this because they're board members. Do you have anyone want to rebut any specific figure that they threw out, or a number or issue? Do you have a specific rebuttal to anything that was just that they just said?
I have a question.
I don't. Okay, just a specific rebuttal to the information that they just said.
Yes. And that's 30 seconds, yeah?
30 seconds for a specific rebuttal.
I was a part of, or I was attending the board meeting that talked about the research of deciding how best our facilities are being used. As my colleague alluded to, our facilities are driven by the number of students we have in the district. Bottom line, the number of students enrolled in Proviso Township High School is declining. We have 3 buildings that are not being utilized to capacity. When you think about the idea that was brought about that said we might want to put the school in another school, that's the kind of decisions that need to be thought about, because we're wasting funds with underused buildings.
Thank you. Again, be specific. I want you guys to address specific issues that people bring up, and it's factual related, and you have a different take on the data, please address that. I don't want us to get, because we'll devolve into a Sunday morning service if that's the case. So this next question is about facilities, and it was touched on before. The first, I'll allow Proviso United to start to address this, and then we'll bring the mic down. Each will get 2 minutes to address facilities. And the recent master plan that was just passed, voted on by the board, is quite frankly is the first most comprehensive plan in history. Possibly in history. It was needed. It's necessary. There's a lot right with it. But Proviso United, you guys have some issues, and so we want to kind of see what those are. In particular, though, you said that the plan fails to prioritize infrastructural needs of East and West on your campaign materials and some of the questionnaires that you filled out. Specifically, what do you mean when you say that it fails to prioritize infrastructural needs at East and West? Be as specific as possible. And 2 minutes for the whole.
As far as the infrastructural needs, the priorities are the showers, the bathrooms. We agreed that could be pulled out and remodeled immediately, but the overall plan, when you're talking about $77 million being spent, it's being poorly spent. The schools are half empty, and when you do the statistics, there's 150,000 people within the population as far as Proviso Township. When you look at the student population at this point, it's 4,350 students, which is 2.89% of the township population. We think those dollars can be reallocated as far as with AV equipment. We're thinking about trades and then vocational trades for the students where they can actually get hands-on and move forward in the process. Yes.
You still got some time remaining. I didn't think I'd ever say that.
Yeah, and we also, in looking at this, we look at what is the need. When they talk about long-term and short-term goals, all right, the $77 million is not supposed to cost the taxpayers anything. But we all know at the end of the day, the taxpayers have to bill for whatever goes on, any money that's spent. So we need to look at that. We need to look at how we want to put this money into the building. Do you want to start adding on to a building with 700 and something students in it and put a new gym and all these things on this building when you have a building, actually two buildings with facilities, the same facilities that need repair and can house all of the students? Is that money being widely spent putting a new gym, a new track, and doing all those things to that building? It's a tough decision. But this decision has to be thought about, it has to be talked about, and at some point it has to be made. But it's a tough decision.
So I have a follow-up question to some of the things that you guys, well, it's an implication of what you just said. So if you were elected and you have a plan on hand that's in place that was voted on, you would consider selling PMSA or closing it if that was what you thought was best? I just want a yes or no answer. Would you guys consider doing that despite what
we would consider doing what's best. We would have to sit down and talk about it and collectively decide what we're going to do. I don't think that's just a yes or no. I can't say what we're going to do because we don't have all of the data, all of the information.
Okay, gotcha. Ms. Aguirre.
The master's facilities plan was rushed. There isn't enough data. There is no renewable energy or materials being used into this construction. If there was renewable energy, we would be able to obtain tax breaks and grants from both the federal and the state levels. We could have used that money and saved it into something else. A construction this big, yes, our buildings are super old. We need some of the construction, but my focus is bring in the proper curriculum for these schools to implement them. We all want a beautiful building, but I want beautiful minds. And the other thing is, earlier this month, there was they voted and they passed the amount of over $16.7 million transferred into the educational fund for the master's facilities plan. And I came to find out that there's a bill in the House, and it's HB 1627, that is going to stop schools from taking money from the educational funds to be used, my apologies, into the master's facilities plan. So the question lies behind me, is this the reason that it was rushed to take this amount of money into the educational system? They explained it at the end that it's not the educational fund that they're taking from. They lumped all the budgets together and they're calling it the educational fund. In budgets, we never clump money together, but it was also stated that the educational fund is the fund that currently has more money. If you log on to YouTube and you look up the last board meeting in February, it's explained in there why. So I would collectively stop this and gather more information.
Sandy, I have follow-up questions with respect to what you just said. You said it was rushed. How long did it take? So your understanding, how long did the process from beginning to end with respect to crafting the master facilities plan take?
I believe it's going on its third year.
What?
Okay.
That's what I believe. I never said that that was the case. Never did I say that. Let's not twist words.
Michael, we didn't hear your question.
You didn't hear my, I asked her, she said it was rushed, and I asked her, what's her understanding of how long the process took? And she said 3 years. Okay, you can pass it. I just about
Michael, I need clarification if possible. Are you talking about the board bringing on this decision, exploring it?
From when the board voted to go ahead with the plan until when they voted to implement the finalized version. That's what the question was.
Okay.
You said 3 years. I will give you guys a response to that specifically to rebut that again. You get your 2 minutes.
Okay. I just want to make sure that we understand what the education.
Pardon me?
Do they get 30 seconds?
Just how long was it? 1 or 3 years? How long was it between the question that she just asked? How long was it?
Okay. It was 1.5 years since the inception of the master's facility plan. Okay, thank you. And the other thing is, I just like to clarify that the education fund in other states is called the general fund. It's where all of the money is placed. We never took any money out of education, and you will go back on YouTube and see that we allocated everything to academics that was needed. We had plus the surplus. We also gave the technology needs, all of the books. We've increased instructional leadership to ensure that all the kids, and we've increased the amount of money that's gone into curriculum. The education fund is the general fund. It is not taking money from any education. There was a surplus because we have surgically looked at the budget and reallocated funds that were being misused, reappropriated that money to ensure that it went towards, was used more effectively.
This board,
Yeah, they used their 2 minutes because I was.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I want to know.
What happened was, Sandy had asked a clarifying question.
I caught that.
Of you, Michael.
Attempted
Of
to give her
you.
the answer, but I don't always
right.
trust my knowledge. I then asked them
30
for
seconds.
what the answer to that question was. She said, how long did it take
Since she was talking about the
from
education, I thought you were
the master facility plan? I was just asking you guys as board members to clarify how long it took between when the plan was voted to begin and then the finalization of it. You said roughly 1.5 years.
Yeah.
But she said 3 years. That's the question that she had asked, and that's what I wanted from you guys. Then I gave you 2 minutes to start with. Okay. 2 minutes. So no, it wasn't 30 seconds. It should have just took one answer. So she said it was 1.5 years. So they are, how much did they have?
Well, I never, after she said 1.5, I didn't know what to do.
Okay, that was my mistake. I'm sorry.
So you're starting on a new question and giving them 2 minutes
Yeah.
and so on.
But they never
I think that's
answered
what's in
the
there.
first question.
Pardon me?
That was a rebuttal.
But then she kept
2 minutes.
Yeah, right.
When I said 2 minutes, that's when we should have, that's when the time began.
But you keep giving them 2 minutes and 30 seconds, but what about the other end? Because Mrs. What's-her-name took her more time. You know what, it's fine, it'll work out in the morning.
I'm trying to.
It'll
It's
work
fine.
out.
The 2 minutes that started should have been after she answered Sandy's question, which was directed to me. I asked for an answer from one of the board members, and they gave me that. That's when their 2 minutes should have started. I didn't make that clear, so I apologize. From what I understand, I don't know how much time they had after Claudia stopped speaking. You weren't timing it, right? Got you. I got you. So we're just going to go on so that we can, in the interest of efficiency and time, because we don't have a whole lot of it today. What you guys did I think you did address the second question with respect to facilities was about that operation fund, which Claudia addressed. The other issue is with respect to scheduling, and this question in particular came from a reader who wanted to know about the 8-period flex schedule and its effectiveness with respect to students. And they said that, and this is addressed to Proviso together. You get 2 minutes, and then it'll go rightward. 2 minutes, 2 minutes. So the question is, the flex schedule was introduced at East and West this year, which allows students additional instructional time and opportunity to increase grades. So, Proviso together, you guys had written in one of your questionnaires that this flex scheduling doesn't work. You say that it doesn't allow them opportunities to increase grades, make up work, get help from their teacher, so that all teachers, I understand, this is what they wrote, and I didn't say can you explain what the 8-period flex schedule is in more detail and why you believe that it will lead to those outcomes? And let me know if I mischaracterized or misinterpreted your response. Got you. From what I have read, and I could be wrong, let me know if I'm wrong. Thank you. Thanks. I appreciate that. So the issue is the 8-period flex schedule. I want to know what it is because a lot of people in the audience may not know what it is, and then explain it and tell what you think will be the outcomes of it or have been the outcomes of the 8-period flex schedule. And if I mischaracterized your opinion of it, I apologize. Okay, so you guys get 2 minutes, 30 seconds if I mischaracterize what you said about the scheduling, and then 2 minutes for your answer. Is that fair?
Make sure I understand what you're saying. Now, you're asking me.
I'm asking, what is an 8-period flex schedule? One. Secondly, what do you think will be the outcomes of it? What has been the outcome of the 8-period flex schedule? Oh, yes. Oh, you're right. Y'all got the same name almost. That's why. Okay, sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, I totally got the names confused. I am so sorry. Proviso together. I'm sorry. You guys are united. You guys are together. It's the same word, isn't it? United equals together. Okay. So Proviso together. Can you explain what the 8-period flex schedule is? What do you believe are the outcomes of the 8-period flex schedule? And then I'll allow you guys an opportunity to eat 2 minutes and 2 minutes. Sorry about that, guys.
So the 8-period flex schedule. So it's an opportunity for students to go early to school with busing available. Like Sandy Aguirre mentioned, the $200,000. That is Title I money that was repurposed to provide busing for kids, so they can get to school at no cost to go to this extended learning opportunity. So 3 days a week, kids get to go to school with their own teacher to get either targeted tutoring, help with their homework. They can work ahead. They can use this time to take AP classes. They can use this time to do SAT prep, and it also enables twice a week for professional development within teacher departments and also between teacher learning communities. So it is a low cost, high impact program that really has fantastic opportunities.
What we know is that the kids that were in sports and in many of the after-school activities didn't have an opportunity to go to a lot of the tutoring. What the early learning extended time has provided is a time for all children to get the support that they need. Teachers are allocating specific times when children are not succeeding in their classes, and they're coming early. We have at least 400 kids in each one of the schools coming in the morning for that extra support. There's also availability for the kids to take credit acceleration during that time. And again, it's at no cost to the parents, no cost to the district, and the teachers are there supporting the students, getting targeted help.
Claudia has said it all and summed it up. Our students are getting additional help. We also supply our students with tutoring during the lunch hours and after school. And then we do have a Saturday, also a Saturday tutoring, which is a Saturday school. So we are providing every opportunity that we can to get our students up to par. We have also incorporated
Currently, the only school that goes to school for 8 hours is PMSA. Proviso East and Proviso West do not. That's one of the many things that we're not being treated the same. Once again, why? ELOS is costing money and it is not working. Kids are not coming into school early to get the help that they need. That is nobody's fault. The kids are not coming in. But maybe we need to change that time somewhere during the day where we ask the kids, you have to come in. If there was an 8-hour time, 8 hours at Proviso East and Proviso West, we can implement something, whether it costs us money or whether it's free. But if kids do not attend, it's pointless, it's useless. So yes, the way that PMSA goes to students go attend school 8 hours a day, so should Proviso East and so should Proviso West. We are 3 high schools in one township. What applies for one applies for 3. That is equality. That is inclusion. Education is the bridge that we all need in these townships. It's not about who comes over here and where that one goes over there and where this one comes from over there, or what town, what township, what. It doesn't come from there. We're all together. The only difference between us is the names of our towns. These are our children. Whether it's my children attending, my neighbor, my friend, it's impactful. And we have the minds. I have another suggestion, question. All these students that get tested into PMSA and they don't make it, do we send them to the AP classes that are being held, that are available? No, we're not. They're going into regular old classes. We can say, no, we're not. That is not a possibility.
The flex period, or the ELOS, was an answer to not giving East and West the return of an 8-period day. It is a failed program. It is a waste of money. When you say that you didn't have the funds to provide or return to the 8-period day, but yet you can utilize surplus in the education fund to move it over for capital improvement or physical improvement, whatever, that's not best use of our taxpayer dollars. When you give children an opportunity, a choice to do something, most of the time they're going to do what is best for them. I'm going to sleep late, I'm not coming. So we have 2 bus routes that are running in the morning to get our students to school. One of them is very empty. That is a waste of our taxpayer dollars because Jimmy, Suzette, Yvette, they can stay home and sleep an additional hour. That is a waste of time. If we would put it back into the educational needs of our students, where they're not happily or not taking a chance of maybe getting help, then we know that they're in a required period with a certified teacher teaching them in a way that they are able to learn. Do not waste our taxpayer dollars. Do not fluff the data by saying, oh, we have a flex period day. We have 3 days a week that our students are wasting time.
All right. I have a follow-up question. When you say ELOS, you don't know what that means. So what does ELOS stand for?
Early learning opportunity, something. That's the board.
It means when
Extended learning opportunities for students.
Okay, that's the ELAW schedule. With respect to the 8-hour day, because that was a specific thing that was drawn out, I want the 8-hour day. And just give me just a straight answer with this. Is there a difference between the time that students at PMSA spend in school and the time that East and West students spend? Can you say it?
They both have 8 hours in their day. The structure is 8 periods in PMSA and 8 periods flex in East and West, so that we have more training for our teachers, and the ELOs, which is the early learning opportunities for students, in the morning because our students needed more support.
And that's what the flex entails?
That's what the flex is.
Okay, sure. Do you want to add to?
But they still had 20 seconds.
Okay. An 8-period day at PMSA.
I'm trying to get clarity. That's all.
An 8-period day at PMSA consists of 8 classes, 5 days a week. ELOs consist of a volunteer show-up study or training with your teacher for only 3 days a week. It doesn't count toward a credit. You don't get anything other than help to boost whatever grade you have. You don't have the other period where you can get flexibility to have, if I make a mistake in one class, I got another class where I have a buffer.
She said they can get credit.
My grandson is at the school, all right, and I've talked to all the people at the school. I've talked to the counselors, I talked to deans, and they don't get credit for that. They only go 3 days a week. They don't go 5 days a week. When you say instruction with your teacher, you get extra instruction. If I have an 8-period day and I go 5 days to this teacher, and now you give me voluntary 3 days, how is that the same amount of instruction? I'm missing 2 days of instruction, and I'm not getting credit.
I wanted to clarify what that issue. So, but you guys say they get credit. He's saying that the credit is not sufficient based on his.
He said they don't get credit.
Okay. Got you. So, got you. So that's an issue that I would encourage voters to look up to ensure that what they're saying is true, because we got 2 different interpretations of reality. The second issue is transparency, and this was brought up by I hope I'm gonna get it right. Proviso United. With respect to meetings, you say that Proviso that the current school board has. You said that the current board's meeting times and locations are not accessible for a more diverse group of stakeholders. But all of the regular meetings are streamed on YouTube. You can. The agendas are online. They're pretty. They seem to be pretty accessible to me. Which meetings are you specifically referring to, and how? And just let me know. Give me more details about that. About that. You get 2 minutes, and then each of you get 2 minutes to respond to what they have to say.
I will say that when committee meetings are not all widely held at times where the community can be a part, an active participant. So when we said that there seems to be an appearance of bringing transparency to the communities, that's exactly what it is. Because when we have this conflict for something as simple as how our students go about their day in education, when we don't know that there's a flex period or an ELOS, that one school has 8 periods, one school has 7 periods, that needs to be clear to the parents of this community and the taxpayers. So the appearance of transparency is being portrayed. For example, we want to continue to tout that PMSA has a 100% graduation rate. That has existed since PMSA opened. There is no way possible, there's no other school in the state of Illinois that has a 100% graduation rate. As a member of the staff, we repeatedly have had students return to their home schools because they did not perform. Not that they weren't intelligent, but they chose not to perform for whatever reasons. So we believe that everything should be above board. That the curriculum, which we don't have a written curriculum to hand out to parents, new and are currently in this district, so they have a guide to go through with their children about their path of learning. Putting these academies together,
I'd like to speak about the master facility plan. Many of these constituents and the residents didn't know that this was going on. There's a bond that's being floated behind our back that's going to reflect in tax increases. Just as they passed out this pamphlet to every resident, we should have had the same energy, the same concepts, and letting us know about the plan. I can't get online to see a plan. Transparency.
I agree with Mr. Layton. There is no transparency. Each board member that is currently sitting now is head of a committee. A board member should not be head of a committee. A board member is to be transparent. How are they being transparent if they had their own committees? That is something that I don't agree with, because there's a finance committee, there's a facilities committee, there's a curriculum committee, and there's other committees that I'm missing. And each board member is responsible for heading that committee. So while this board member is head of this committee, who is keeping that board member transparent and fair? That's one of the things that we need to look into. The master facilities plan, it was not broadcasted the way that it needed to be, because all the parents, all the community, the teachers and the staff needed to be partaking in this. One of the things that the master facility plan lacks is there's no technology, there's no IT tech coming in. And IT technology is the future. And also, we are not teaching vocational trades such as electricians, plumbers, HVC. Those are the types of trades that we need, because a university is not scheduled for everyone for different reasons. But if we educate ourselves in that or obtain a certificate, we can earn an honest living. Most of those plumbers, electricians probably make more money than some of us in this room. We have the space within the townships. We have the space in Maywood, we have the space in Stone Park, we have the space in Westchester, we have it in Hillside, and we have it in Melrose Park.
I'll talk about the trades. We do have vocational classes already in our schools, and our superintendent has been going out proactively, and he has met with the cement company in Bellwood. They just built it, and they will be going there, partnershiping with them for a cement to learn cement vocational work, and there will be apprenticeships with that. He has also gone down to the different high schools, looking into all forms of vocational programs. So we are going to be bringing in a lot of programs. What has happened too is that we have FOP here, and they came to our school because of the way our budget was. We were in a deficit at that time, so we have to approve everything. Has to go through them, and they are gradually letting us bring in different trades. So that's what we're doing. And with the master's facilities plan, we did announce this to the public. We sent out different mailers to our town people in all 10 of our towns. We also did robocalls. We had 4 town hall meetings, and we invited the public to come out and they did come out to our 4 town hall meetings, and they did have input in the master's facilities plan. And of course, with the master's facilities plan, we do have to pay prevailing wages. And this board adopted a policy where we will have 33% instead of 25% of our funds in allocated in our fund balance.
Thank you. I have a follow-up because there's a lot of specific information that's getting thrown out, but it's not. Right. That's one of them. With respect to, he said he was talking about the backdoor bond, and I said we're going to get to that. Oh, sorry. But before that happens, I want to address something that Ms. Aguirre pointed out, which is committee meetings. Ms. Robertson, you pointed out to Ms. Aguirre, boards all over the country, they have board members who head subcommittees. The village has board members who head subcommittees. The village's finance committee is headed by board members. That's not an atypical practice. With respect to Ms. Robertson, and I'll give you some time to clarify this. You said that committee meetings need to be more transparent. Would you advocate, for instance, for those being filmed on YouTube as well as regular board meetings, or how would you work to make them more transparent? This is a specific question because she brought it up, so she'll get 30 seconds to answer.
The only reason why I would support them being live streamed is that our community is watching. I would like to know how many of our community members, and is it reaching the masses the way we want? If we're just live streaming for the sake of live streaming to say we're reaching them, then that's no good. We need to find innovative ways to get our community involved. As board members, my feet have to keep hitting the pavement, letting my community know what's going on. Give me some input, give me some insight. So only for that reason.
So you would advocate for committee meetings being filmed by uploaded and live streamed? Is that what you said?
Only if it's being utilized. Our people are stressing it.
Okay. With respect to the bond issue, which was another sticking point, you guys explained the Proviso United slate, that this is a backdoor bond. It was introduced through backdoor means. One, what does backdoor mean? Can you define that for people when you say it? And secondly, how is that, in your opinion, detrimental to the district? So you get 2 minutes.
Basically, what the backdoor bond, when we say when they move money from one line item to another, and do not put a referendum for the people to decide on what they want. We're going to be responsible for paying for this. The money does not come out of the sky. It is part of the budget. When you look at the statistics as far as the funding dealing with the budget, we got $85.5 million is basically the school budget, which 75% of those proceeds come from us, the taxpayers. The other 20% is from state and federal. These are tactics that are used, these are disingenuous tactics that are used by members to push their agenda, to move contracts, dollars where where dollars are not going where they need to be appropriately. Backdoor, again, you don't see it now. They're guaranteeing you that it will not be a tax increase because we're going to increase our student population by 1%. But if one takes a look around, you see all the indicators is that everything is going down. Every community around here is strapped. And the transparent portion of it is, there is a problem. We don't know nothing about the master facility plan, so there should be town hall committee meetings, and you need to be pulling the public in. I know you reached out, you state you reached out, but the communication, if you take a poll right now amongst the residents, they do not know anything about it. So I see, and I recognize it as disingenuous on what's going on. It should have been on the ballot. We should have been allowed to vote on it. I should be able to go to the website and look this plan up, which I cannot. I'll challenge anybody in the audience, take a look and see what you come up with. It is disingenuous, and it's going to cost us. And what's going to happen, these people are going to move out, and we're going to be left holding the bag. I plan on being here. I'm a supporter for the community. I'm born and raised here. My father graduated from East. My mother graduated from Proviso East. I raised my family here, my wife. It's important. We need to challenge him. I think we need to put a pause on this master facility ban because it's $77 million. That's a lot of money. And our kids need programs. They need.
Thank you. This is going to be for Sandy next, but I just want to point out that, again, when you say backdoor, you mean a bond that is issued without a referendum? Okay. And I just want to make sure that.
This is why law is being passed to stop it. It's an ill practice to use by the board. It's about to pass it now. Shut this down and stop.
Okay, but and that's not, again, I cover school boards.
We can't hear him.
You can't hear me?
We can't hear him.
Oh, okay. He said that the practice of a backdoor referendum or bond is one that has been passed without referendum, and the state law is on the books. I don't know anything about that that will help to stop it. I was going to say, just for clarity though, that what they did with that bonding measure is not rare. It's typical of what happens, and it doesn't necessarily mean anything nefarious. But I just want to make sure that we don't unnecessarily and unduly demonize people for things that we don't clearly understand a whole lot about. So I would just advocate you guys to look it up for yourself and don't just take people at their word, okay? Before you demonize. Amen. So you get 2 minutes.
Amen. That's right.
2 minutes on the bonding.
Okay, some of the reasons that we have so much money now in the bonds is because the bonds have actually been refinanced. The way that it's turned around and said that there's $77 million in the surplus is because the bonds were refinanced, because over $16.7 million were taken from the general fund. The greatest amount that was transferred from that fund was the educational fund into the general fund, and that's what it puts us at the $77 million right now. When Proviso Together in the past, when they came into office, they said they were at a deficit. In only 4 years, they're at a 77 million surplus. That's a little difficult to believe. That's what I believe Mr. Leighton Scott was referring to, was the refinancing. I could be incorrect. The other thing that I mentioned earlier was the HB 1627 law that's in the House right now. It's going to be written in where it's going to be against the law to remove any monies from the educational funds of all the schools in Illinois to be used for any other thing other than the educational fund. That is honestly what I think, that this master's facility plan was rushed before this law came into effect. I also finding a little bit disheartening, Teresa mentioned it, that Superintendent Rodriguez is working on bringing certain vocational trades into the school. Why is that taking so long when we could have implemented that a while back and we could have had kids already learning, getting them enthused and showing them different avenues of education? Let's not lose focus. We are all in here because of our children.
Okay, first of all, we're talking about the bonds. There are two types of bonds: unlimited bonds, which you ask for a referendum with, and then there's limited bonds, which you could ask up to a certain amount of money for. So that's how the bonds work. We asked for $28 million in bonds. Yes, we did, and those, I just said a referendum comes with limited. Anyway, so we got the 28 million for the bonds, and how it works is that in each of we're not asking for anything from the taxpayers for this 28 million. Number one, if you look at the value of a house has equalized asset, And in Maywood, the equalized asset was 1%. This year is 13%. And with 1%, there's no impact on the taxpayer. So right now it's at 13%, and the value has gone up in all of these towns. So we will not be asking the community for any money. Also, like I already stated, we asked for 33% to be set in our to go for our funds, our cash fund balances. We asked for 33% to hold there instead of 25%. So if anything would ever go wrong, we have that access. We will have that money to pay for the taxpayers. So there's no money going up for the taxpayers. And again, we do not have $77 million in the facilities master plan. We have $62 million right now in the facilities master plan.
While we're talking about budgets and the bond, this is complicated stuff. I just want to get a poll, a show of hands. How many people have read through or looked at the most recently approved fiscal year budget that the district passed? I'm polling everybody. I'm talking about all candidates. Raise your hand if you've read the most recent budget that the district approved for this most recent fiscal year. No, the one that was most recently approved. Okay. Secondly, how many of you read through the bond, the documentation? Have you just part of, just seen it, looked through it? Just raise your hand. If everybody who's seen it, looked through it, take it to test, raise your hand, ask questions about it. And then the question for all candidates, how many of you have read through at least some of the documentation related to these bond transfers? Because the documentation is available online. I've read it. It's freely available. So I can't go line by line picking through factual statements. So I want to make sure that people know that a lot of the information has a source. Please go online and look at it. It is available. Because otherwise we'll be here all day nitpicking what individual candidates say. It's on the district website. Yeah, it's on the district website. And then I'll, if you want, I can email you how to get to it. Please. It's not, and I will be honest, it's not easy getting to it if you're not familiar with it. Exactly. Let me explain this. I'm trying to clarify something. It is available, the documentation, all that is available online. But if you're not a person who is constantly looking at this, you may not necessarily know how to navigate the website to get to it. So that's my point. It's not easy. It's not necessarily easy for a layperson who doesn't look at it regularly to get to it. So I'm sorry. I just want to clarify that for fairness.
Yeah, they should be. They on the board, Mike. Come on.
Thanks.
Answer the questions.
Okay. I appreciate you hosting this debate too.
You're welcome. You need some help.
Okay. The last three questions. This is not an easy. I challenge you guys to do this. It's not easy. The last three questions are available. The last three questions are for each individual. I'm going to direct these to each candidate, and you'll have 3 minutes to respond to them. These were reader questions that were created. So I didn't necessarily create these, but they are legitimate questions. So the first one is for the Proviso United slate. In fact, I'll address the first one to Mr. Wade of the Proviso United slate. And this is a reader-generated question. It asks, at the December 12th, 2017 Board of Education meeting, you spoke during public comment saying you need to be made whole, quote unquote. Documents obtained by FOIA requests indicate that you asked the district for money, but the request was denied. What was this financial request for? How much was the amount requested? If elected, do you plan on persuading your board colleagues to revisit this matter? And you get 3 minutes to respond. And that was sent from a reader who was affiliated with one of the campaigns, but I asked it because it's a legitimate question.
December 12th. What basically took place on December 12th was a request for a investigation of willful and wanton misconduct of a member dealing with the school district, which was denied. What basically occurred was my son was accused of doing something to a teacher as far as a physical nature, and what basically took place, this was all false. Thank goodness the incident was caught on all 3 video cameras. It displayed nothing of the kind of what was being accused by him, but yet they took their powers, hiding behind the power, to move forward, to prosecute. And we wind up being victorious out of that. The school district was chastised for destroying evidence. The school district pushed the teacher on the stand to perjure herself. Also, what basically took place was that there was a loss where I had to have my son at St. Joseph High School during this process. The reason I'm going through this, or basically December 12th, is not to just make myself whole, but there has been a calculated assault against young black men at Proviso Township to throw them out. It is echoed as the school to prison pipeline. I call it the school to graveyard pipeline. It is with people that are in authority that do inappropriate things, and then with this incident moved forward to get Senate Bill 100. I worked and collaborated and provide testimony to move forward to get the Senate Bill 100, which at this point now it hinders people in a position where they can't be abusive with the authority. I'd like to give Senator Kim Lightford a hand. If you all would do that, please. She was awesome. And what we have, like I said, on that day was a request for a full investigation as far as matters with dollars. I do not have that in front of me. I don't have the notes at this point. But as far as for our kids, being equality and treating them right versus throwing them under the bus, I'm here. That's why I'm here. I'm going to remain here, whether I'm on the board, whether I'm on the street, whether I'm serving. It is inappropriate. The disparities are despicable, and it's even more despicable when we start together and then a group, once they're in, then turn their back on us. When we started together. We started together, we're together. We had a meeting at Louis Grill, Paula. You remember that? We had a meeting. You promised us integrity. And when I stood there before you board members and asking for a fact-finding mission and to receive a letter, that they'll no longer be considered, and the individual that's calculated and created these issues is just walking by and he's not being disciplined, is inappropriate.
I got a follow-up question. Would the matter with respect to your son, if it comes, do you know whether or not it will come before the board if you're elected? And if it does, will you recuse yourself?
I'm going to repeat to you again, it's not just about my son. It's about the sisters. It's about the parents that were unable to fight against this system. I've asked for them to re-appeal. The appeal process was supposed to go back to the board. They changed it. So if something happens to your child, you have to go to circuit court in order to appeal. No one has the money or the time or the resources for that. What they're doing through a backdoor deal is depriving us of due process. That's what they're doing. All right? The verdict is in.
Ms. Aguirre, do you want to respond to this particular issue? Okay. You get 2 minutes to rebut what he just said.
Right. I guess I just want to say one thing. The incident involved with Mr. Wade is talking about occurred probably at this point 10 years ago. Okay. I'm not saying that it matters, but it was 10 years ago. And I do want to say that when Senate Bill 100 was before it was enacted into law, this very Board of Education, this iteration of the board had already been reducing exclusionary discipline. We reduced that before Senate Bill 100 went into law. And we have restorative justice practices, and we have instituted PBIS, CPI. We have trained people in de-escalation. We help kids with their relationships, and we are not kicking people out of school. We don't expel kids anymore. We don't do that because it is a horrible practice.
That's matters of personnel, and I will not get involved in it.
You're a board member?
Thanks. This question is directed toward Ms. Aguida. It is based on public record, your financial returns. So far, you've received $10,000 from Merrill's Park Mayor Ron Serpico and his Political Action Committee. Donors to Mayor Serpico and these PACs include people and/or entities with active lawsuits against the district. You gathered only 17 signatures by yourself to appear on the ballot, while several of Mayor Serpico's staff gathered the rest of the signatures. If elected, will you design policy or direct administration to politically and/or financially benefit those entities? You can get 3 minutes. That was a reader-generated question.
I collected more than 17 signatures by myself. I have been involved in the community since 2004. I was part of the people that helped maintain Washington School open. I have ran against Serpico in the past twice. Myself, once for District 89, one for Village Trustee, and I also helped my friends run in Melrose Park against Serpico, and I also helped Proviso Together canvass and won. And because of me helping, along with my other colleagues, we won districts in Stone Park and in Melrose Park. I believe in building bridges. Serpico has donated $10,000. I went to Serpico's office, I knocked on his door, and I asked his administrative assistant for a meeting. He graciously asked me, he gave me the opportunity, and I told him, I want to run for T09 because of X, Y, and Z. I approached the mayors from the entire Proviso Township area. I was told by an elected official in Maywood, I will not support you because you are Mexican. In a different town, I was told, I will not support you and I will not support any of the other candidates because I am not going to get involved. I reached out to village trustees. Some have said yes, some have said no, and some are still thinking about it. Once again, this is about building bridges. This is about finding stability. Education is a benefit to the entire Proviso Township, not for a specific mayor or town that is or has not been accused and found guilty of doing such acts. I will not taint my name in the mud for anyone. I was legitimized by Maria and Pascual, luckily, for 45 years. Aguirre is my father's last name. He was a man of integrity, and I will not taint his name. If, for instance, Miss Edwina would say, I want to help, are you guys going to turn against Miss Edwina because she would want to help? Or against any other village elected official or any other candidate?
This is a follow-up. So if somebody went online and saw the petitions that you gathered, they'll see that you gathered more than 17 signatures yourself.
Yes, because
Okay.
it was more than
it was more than myself collecting.
Okay.
There's people in the audience here that collected.
Okay, I just want to ask that
Hold
question.
on, my daughters collected.
Okay.
My friends that collected, that ran with us in the past,
It's just
all
a-
collected.
Thank you.
And we
I
made
just-
more than 17, Michael. We've worked this community
Got it.
for a long, long time.
I appreciate that. Thanks. This question, one of the last questions for today, is for the Proviso Together slate. Last year, you approved and this is not reader generated. You approved a 5-year contract for the current superintendent, Jesse Rodriguez, even though the district was conducting an internal investigation into allegations of racist and hiring workplace practices lodged against his administration. In fairness to the superintendent, he's always said that these allegations were baseless and that the investigation would prove this was the case. But several months later, the district has not made public what this investigation found. So this is a two-part question. One, the vote on the contract extension was 4-3. Mrs. Kelly, you voted against the extension, while Mr. Wagner and Mrs. Medina, you all voted in favor of it. So the first part is, why did you extend the contract despite knowing that there was an internal investigation happening? And the second part of the question is, can you let us know what that investigation found, if it's possible?
All right, so first of all, well, to answer the second question first, that is confidential information. We're not going to release the results of the investigation. But we took those complaints very seriously. We take all complaints very seriously, and we, engaged an outside attorney to start an investigation immediately upon receiving those complaints. Now, we also have to respect the right of the person who has those complaints lodged against, and we can't just rush to judgment and assume that someone is guilty, before being, proven innocent, or however that works. So we took the whole situation very seriously, but his contract was on the agenda to be approved. His contract has language in it that if the superintendent was dismissed for cause, well then there's no payout. Like the contract would be terminated. So there was no financial risk to approving that contract that was already on the agenda, and we took both sides very seriously.
In that particular case, the 5-year contract also looks for ensuring that we have educational stability and continuity. There were several of the transformational plans that were put forward, and we wanted to make sure that we had that consistency and that progress continual through the next 5 years.
I didn't vote for it. I didn't vote for it. We didn't agree on this topic. The other two people and myself, we didn't agree on this topic, and that's the beauty of having independent people.
Can the audience not interrupt, please? Everybody's an adult here, so let's act like it. This is a forum about educating kids, so you want to send them the proper model. And with respect to that, this is the last question to end this, and in the spirit of unity and togetherness, I want each slate before you. Then you will have a minute closing comments after this. I want each slate and/or candidate to say something nice about the other side. You can pick any of them. You can just clump them together if you want, but just say something nice about your opposition, and you get 30 seconds. So it's not that. Whatever. 30 seconds per person.
I want to say that I see Leighton Scott at every Proviso East basketball game. I think he has his nephew or grandson who's on the sophomore team. My son plays in the marching band, so I'm there too. And he is a gentleman, and kids all just come up to him, and they all know him. And he's obviously a mentor in this community.
I'd like to say that I am appreciative that we have this much community engagement, and it shows in the fact that we have several people that are running to be participant in the change and the transformation that Proviso District 209 is engaging in. I'm glad that we have community members that are engaged. I'm glad that you're looking into all of the different issues that affect our communities, that affect our district, and I'm appreciative for community participation because it's only together that we're all going to move this district forward.
I guess I'll start with Denard Wade. I have been knowing Denard Wade. I'm sorry, getting these D's mixed up. I've been knowing Denard Wade before he was even born. We go back that far, and he's been like one of my nephews. You know, he's been like a nephew, and I've seen him grow up into a fine young man, to a fireman, and raise his kids, and I am proud of him. Is that it? Pardon? What's the question?
Now, will she answer the question?
You did.
We all have passion for education. That's why the seven of us are here. Thank you. And I look forward to working with anybody that gets onto the board, because education is the key. Education is the unity that's going to bring all of Proviso together. And then we will all definitely say one Proviso, because that's who we are, one Proviso.
First, I would like to start off by thanking the current board for donating your time to be on the board, because it takes a lot of time. All right, and we appreciate it. I see Ned Wagner at a lot of games, as he said. I see Teresa Kelly at a lot of games, and I've also seen Claudia Medina in places, you know, around the school. And we appreciate your time. I had the opportunity to meet Sandy on the campaign trail, and she's very passionate. And so I appreciate her passion. At the end of the day, we are all want the best interests of our kids, so we're united in that.
There's no disharmony about what we're all attempting to do. I think when we all can attest to the fact that we stand before this community in support of the community. Ms. Kelly, I appreciate the many years of service that you have given to this community. We've had many conversations, and I understand your care for the students in the community. And as we move forward, we're willing to work with whomever sits on the board, whether we're a part of it, all three of us, or are part of us.
Again, as Leighton said, I want to thank you all for serving. It's a volunteer position. It's not a paid position. And Auntie, you know, I love you. Ned, it was great when we were at the fundraiser. We sat down, we talked, and we agreed to be gentlemen. I just want to give a round of applause, because this is not a muddy campaign. It's not a muddy campaign. I agreed that we're not going to do no mudslinging. It's all right to disagree, and we'll do it appropriately, but we're going to be progressive as far as for the kids. And you know, I'm proud of you guys, and I thank you, and I appreciate it.
Give a round of applause for all of these candidates.